The two guys that have really shined in the training camp earlier were Eric Johnson, of course, one of the more veteran guys on the team and a critically important player. And then the guy that they added near the end of the year, Vladislav Nemestikov, who's been a really interesting guy because he's one of those guys with the Avs, and at times with the Avs, let's face it, even though they are a very dangerous and very talented scoring team, at times the Avs get caught up with trying to make the pretty play. And this is just the nature of sometimes they almost have too much skating ability and too much passing talent that they can do this. And then they get a little too fancy. And it happens on the power play especially, where at times this team will just kind of go sideways, worried about making the perfect, tic-tac-toe pass before making the shot. That's dangerous. Well, what I like about Nemesnikov, and I guess I look at this, think even when the Avalanche were winning Stanley Cups and they had luminous talent like Peter Forsberg and Joe Sakic, at times they still ran into that same problem where that team got a little bit too fancy. And that's where you had guys like Mike Ricci and Claude Lemieux who were more than happy to just go plow towards the net like a bulldozer and get those ugly, greasy goals where you're just, flinging the stick all over the place and it goes into the net. Those are the kind of goals you need in the playoffs. And that's something with the Avalanche still being relatively inexperienced with this roster in the playoffs that could be immensely valuable for them. And when you talk about a player like Nemesnikov, who's very, very good as a defensive forward, he's also the guy that gets the job done right up in front of the net. So he's either causing traffic up there or he's finding a way to score from point blank range. This is a guy that scores right in that dirty area of the goal. You have to be able to take the hits, take the contact, and they're not pretty. They're not pretty goals. But in the playoffs, those are winning goals. So someone like Nemesnikov, who finds himself in a really interesting spot on this team, could be really effective. I mean, he could be a dangerous part of this roster, and I like it. I loved the trade when they got him. And I think it may be a very big difference maker for the Avs down the stretch. Now, when you look at the way they're being perceived, the folks at The Athletic put together their predictions for the Stanley Cup playoffs. You will be pleasantly surprised where they see the Avs. Now, you knew, because if you've been listening to this show, we've been telling you, the folks in Vegas have the Avs as the favorite to come out of the West. Now, that may be a surprise to some people who haven't really watched them, but the people who know what they're talking about, who have their livelihoods based on it, believe that the Avs are the team to get together. Well, the folks at The Athletic, they brought together their staff, and they had the Avs being the favorite out of the West, too. They have the Avs as a 28.2% chance of winning the Stanley Cup. 1 in 4? I'll take that. That's not bad at all. That's where they believe the Avs have a chance of winning it. The Lightning, the favorite overall with 41%. The Bruins third with 15%. The amazing thing is how much people believe in the Avalanche. 28% chance to win the Cup. The next highest Western Conference team is the Golden Knights at 2.6. Less than a tenth of what the Avs are getting. That's remarkable. Now, hopefully, the Avs aren't reading any of these things and letting it go to their head, because that's a bit of a danger. Because look, this is a team that they still haven't earned anything. They have earned nothing. And they have to know that. They have to go forward, and they have to find a way to get this done. The Conn Smythe winner, by the way, the suggestion there was Nathan MacKinnon by a landslide, 25.6%. The next two best, of course, teammates, Nikita Kucherov and Steven Stamkos of the Lightning, both at 10.3%. So maybe in the playoffs when you have McKinnon leading the team in scoring by, I believe it was 42 points ahead of Makar. I think that's about right. 43. Okay, yeah, 43 points over Makar, as Makar being the number 2 scorer. If that happens again, it'll really stand out in the postseason. And I think that's what you're looking at with the idea that McKinnon is there. But you look at some of these things like, oh, well, who's the dark horse? You'd be forgiven a year or two ago if you'd be looking for the Avs in this list. They're not on that list. They're the favorites out of the West. The favorites. That is exciting stuff. And the funny thing is, as much as I look at it, and, being a native and a fan of sports here, and obviously the Avs have won 2 Stanley Cups, but if you're a fan in Denver, you probably are accustomed to a little bit. Well, I don't trust it yet. I don't trust it. I don't believe in it. You have to get it done, and that there is a part of me that looks at it and says, "Boy, I really do want to see this team get it done. I really do want to see this team make a good run at it, but I'll believe it when I see it, because that's the nervousness that I always have when it comes to the NHL. But the Avs will get it done. They'll be starting off against the St. Louis Blues, the only team that they trailed in the entire conference at the time the league was suspended. That will be Sunday afternoon. We'll look forward to talking about that next week too, as we'll have everything going at once by then. That will be a ton of fun